Hi guys, welcome to the Cat King Success Diary. So today we're going to be in conversation with Rahul, who has a series of colleges and everything convert with us. So we'd love to have a detailed understanding about all of them. So what we've converted SP Gen, New IIMs, IFT, and
SIBM's SC majority. There are two
awesome.
symbols.
And we didn't do a lot of other interviews, so we'll talk about those later. But great. So Rahul, tell me a little bit about your background. No, what all have you done?
Yeah, so I am an engineer, like most of them. Graduated 2.5 years back, I think 3 years back,
Okay.
through Mumbai University. And
Nice.
after that, didn't really want to go into the coding line, so did not take an MS or did not take up an IT job. Stuck to something I liked with analytics for 2.5 years.
Okay.
And in the middle, I knew my inclination was always towards an MBA, but the job kind of made it more like, now I know I'm ready for that next step. So after 2 years, like I had given CAT back then also just to test the waters, but after 2 years I was sure that this is my moment and
This is where you want to go now.
yeah. So this was
Nice.
my most serious attempt, and I really wanted this year to be my start of my
Great. So what do you think? How were you able to balance between work and studies? Well, that's one of the major constraints a lot of people have.
So it was first of all, I was sure that I wanted to do an MBA. So there was no other focus for me. It was just work and MBA. So generally, a lot of people have 2 to 3 other things associated, like EA nahi hua, so there's a plan B. But I don't really believe in plan B. Like this was the only plan I had.
Nice.
So that really helped me because my focus was always towards an MBA, and with respect to whatever I did, like with work also. So the journey, CAT journey might have started this year, but for me it was just a long time back because I was very determined. I wanted to do it this way. Talking just about work and studying, every day like half an hour, 1 hour I used to take out to do something like, for example, in sections like DLR, which gets better with practice. I used to take out like half an hour to do 1 or 2 examples every day, or read something every morning while traveling,
Nice.
or just a little bit. I mean, I was not very consistent, but then I used to take up on weekends. I used to do most of my studying and my test papers. But yeah,
Nice.
I used
But
to
that's
try.
still manageable. You can balance work and this if you have a focus right?
Sure. I mean, it's just that you need to be focused and consistent, because if you're consistent enough, then it should not be a problem.
It's all basically how badly you want it. So really, if you have the focus you want to crack it, you will definitely crack it. So that's
Yeah.
nice, great. So what do you think, like, what helped you make sure you crack all the exams, like CAT, IIFT, which is a little different and difficult, Symbiosis, NMATs, you were able to crack all of them. So what do you think is the success factor for all of these?
I think it just comes down to, first of all, logic, like training your mind. Because I think if your mind is trained for the kind of rigor that an exam poses, I think every exam there's a little bit deviation from the other exam, but the main crux remains the same. So if you know a topic well, or your logic is set on that particular topic, no matter what gets asked about that, you should be able to answer. So that was again something I did from the start. So if I'm doing a particular topic, I should do it well enough that no matter what the exam is or no matter what the scenario is, I should be able to answer that particular question. So yeah.
So basically, the conceptual part for all the exams is same. It's just the whole on the day of the strategy which changes.
Strategy is a little different because IFT you need sectional clear, and there were like 6 sections in my exam, which is a little difficult for a lot of other people. But I mean, if your strategy is set and your logic is in place, I thought it was not that difficult. As everybody else thought about it. Same with NMIMS, with Symbiosis, probably a little easier than CAT, with speed coming in a lot more important. But again, it's the whole crux remain the same. So I just had to do a little more. My test, like last 1 week before an exam, I had to kind of change my
So
focus. And
what would you suggest, like if someone is starting their preparation right now, it's good to stay focused on your concepts and CAT, and then for the last 1 week for all of these exams just practice tests? Will that be good enough?
Yeah, because the focus has to be CAT, because you have to understand that through CAT you're going to get a lot more colleges. So the amount of calls you're going to get through CAT is always going to be more than Symbiosis or NMIMS, because there's single college focus.
Yeah.
So I always believe you start with CAT, and 1 week before, if you can take out time to get to brush up on things which are more important to that particular exam, that's always better. The one caveat is with GK, which cannot be done in 1 week. So that I probably advise you start reading a little bit right now.
So what would you read, like daily basis, newspaper or something?
Newspapers with this in this age is like, I don't know. I'm just too lazy to get up in the morning to read a
So
newspaper.
probably download an app or something like InShots and
InShots
something.
was my go-to app all the time.
Nice.
So
That's, I think, true for the most people. None of us read newspapers, which
is
job
not
of
a
mine,
yeah.
but
Huh.
that's a fact. So InShots actually really helps. It's a
Yeah.
good app. Nice. And how was your entire experience of interviews? Like, if I would talk of different colleges, how was the entire SPJN experience?
SPJN was very very good. So in interviews also, luckily I had WorkX to my side, and generally there's this thing about an engineer doing an MBA that why do you want to do an MBA? So my story was much more like I wanted it to be, because it's been a gradual step. It was not like I was just jumping a bridge, taking doing an MBA right after engineering.
Just like someone who's bored from IT moving to an MBA,
Yeah,
it was different a story.
Yeah, it's a much
Nice.
different story. It's a stepwise story, and so that's how the interview was much better, because the questions which you asked were much more relevant in my case. I could tell them a lot more
Okay.
in detail about what other people could not say probably, and yeah, that was. So SPJN was a group interview, so it was a lot more daunting, because my graduation's not that great. Nor, I mean, Cartesian, the place I worked, is a very very good place, but it's not like a big four, or it's not like a
Yeah.
top company. So when I entered the kind of people that I was surrounded by, I was a little taken aback. But
So who all were there in your interview? Like,
I mean, IITians and IITians, I mean, those were
Okay.
the norm, the CAs for finance.
So we have like IITians and IITians, CA
CAs,
and
and
Mumbai
there's
University
somebody
guy.
with not so good a catch, not
So just
so-
a regular nice engineer who worked hard.
I mean, in the hindsight, I think I can say that. But more than that, I think it's the focus. I knew this is what I wanted, and
Nice.
SPJN was, I still always maintain, was a lot more above what I could aim for. I think that was, I mean, even if I had got the IIMS, SPJN is something that I never thought I'd get a call. I mean,
Okay.
converting was way beyond my wildest imaginations, but is that the
That's why I
story
think
kind
Rahul
of
sir also adores you a lot, because from his SPGen now you are going down to SPGen.
the name also
Yeah.
kind of
Synergizes. Great. So and how about your experience at IIFT, and how was that interview?
IFT was very daunting. I think one of the most daunting interviews I've given. The reason being because it's under finance ministry, and the whole trade
Yeah.
and international MBA. The interview also at World Trade Center, which is
Yeah.
one of the most. I mean, in terms of the building, the heritage. I mean, the history and all. You look at the building, and there's always that nervous energy which is generally on your face because you're giving an IFT interview, but it kind of adds up
And
because
it's
of that
known
building.
to be a very stressful interview
Yeah.
as always.
And with the recent history, GD has been scrapped in most colleges, but IFT still has it.
Yes.
And it's a quite a long GD with you getting 1 minute at the start of the GD, so you have to say something. So and
What was your GD topic?
I will not remember that. Oh, I remember. India's demographic. It's becoming a younger nation. So what are the challenges it should focus on?
Okay.
So
Interesting.
that was my topic. Yeah.
Nice. So it was the most chilled out interview for you.
Most chilled out. None of the interviews were chilled out. So. But
If you have to relative between SPJ and IFT and the new IIMs and Symbiosis.
the interview I enjoyed the most was Symbiosis. I loved the interview. I loved the process. It was very different than all the other colleges. Not a lot more chilled, but it's an interview I remember for the rest of my life, because I knew that while giving the interview only that I was striking a chord with the professors, and at the end of the interview also they were very very happy, and they said they wanted to see me in
Any
colleges.
specific question or something which you remember that was able to connect that chord for you?
It was more on movies and squash. So
Oh, nice.
I've been playing squash for the last 4 or 5 years now. So we're well connected with the game. So and the professor also knew a lot about the game. So we were talking about history about squash, how Pakistani players were brilliant in the past, but now Egyptians are taking over, something along those lines. And then we talked about some movies like Pursuit of Happiness, some
nice.
things very close to my heart, which were luckily close
That's
to
an
his heart
amazing
as well.
one,
So
yes.
it
Nice.
kind of gelled very well till the end, and it
Okay.
was for me it was a little bit emotional also because I really enjoyed the interview. So it was very difficult to take the call of not going to Symbiosis. So yeah. So
Nice, nice. That's interesting. Great. And so, how was your entire like last few months, which is very important for preparation? What would you say like the most important timeline for your preparation for the exams?
in terms of the exams, I think the most important, which Rahul sir always says, ma'am, you also always say, and all the professors, everybody says, is your mocks. I think after a particular point, you have to start giving mocks. You don't have to be afraid of them. So my last 1 month, I think, was all about giving different types of mocks and some scoring well, some not scoring well, but just kind of understanding that what is working for me, what is not working for me, because sorry, but yeah, till then your concepts are basically strong enough.
Yeah.
But if your strategy is well, even though with not so great concepts, I think you can do a much better job. It's about that optimization factor, which I think the
True.
mocks bring to it. So
And
think-
analyzing it truly.
yeah, so analyze a mock is 3 hours, but I think analysis took around 6 to 7 hours on most occasions.
Nice.
Wanting to understand where.
That's actually where you dissect and understand where what you're doing wrong
Yeah.
and how to do it. Great, great. So that's really
Yeah.
interesting. So what you would say is one thing for or couple of things as tips to the people who are giving exams this year. What would you give them as a
First of all, I would tell them that a lot of them have been very nervous about the whole CAT experience. Like, I mean, if I don't do well, what's gonna happen to me and all. So first thing is to not be nervous. The more nervous you're gonna be, you're not gonna be able to give it your best shot. And knowing what's on the line, you'd better want to give it your best shot.
true?
So one thing Rahul sir says, which kind of stays with me, is that मेहनत इतना करो कि I mean खुदा नहीं चाहता और भगवान नहीं चाहता कि तुम्हारा हो जाए. That's always what he told me, because he kind of knew I was working very hard for it. So like just
True.
keep working hard and
Yes.
don't really worry about the result. And that's something I'd say to just about anybody who's taking up any exam, be it CAT or anything, but especially
Very
CAT
true.
because
Yeah.
it's an important exam. I mean, not just important, but it's got this huge presence with it. Apart from that, I'd ask everybody to be consistent. So one of the things that I've always noticed, that people start off in a blaze that I'm gonna do
Yeah.
this 6 hours every day, 5 hours every day, bring it on. But to the moment it's been a month, that goes to 3 hours, that goes to 2 hours. Instead, like whatever time you're putting in, like let it be 2 hours or 3 hours, just focus and ensure that your productivity is worth those 3 or 4 hours which you're putting in, and let it be consistent till the very
Till
end.
the end.
And
True.
if you're able to do that, then I don't think CAT is going to be as daunting as it seems to be. Not just CAT, all the other exams
True,
in my experience at least. So.
Nice, nice. That's really great and very insightful to make sure that you're being very consistent. Something which we always tell you is be focused. It's not because you're not going to lose out on everything. So a lot of people do say that we should study 6 hours a day, and we study 1 hour a day also, but with full focus. That's more than enough. So that I think would really work. And given a lot of mocks. Plus, always have your story sorted for your interviews, which really worked in his case, and I think in all the interviews which he's cracked. So Rahul, if we'll have you come up next year for training the rest of the candidates, would you love to do that?
Absolutely. I mean,
Like also on those webinars and everything. Were the webinars helpful? Like used to come in at 9
Yeah,
PM and everything, all of them?
yeah, they were quite insightful. Like it's always good to know what somebody on that side of the bay is thinking. Like I mean, an interview or a
Yeah.
pass out, because they'll be able. I mean, you'll be more able to relate to their journey, and you'll be able to understand what MBA is actually all about. Which at this point, like sitting on the other side of the table, you might not know that well. So once you know what it's all about, it's much better to understand where your answers, where do you want your answers to be, like how do you want to present yourself. So I
Nice.
think that was very
Great,
insightful.
great. So we shall definitely have Rahul come down on the webinars, share his insights from the other side, and also in-person meet, especially for cracking IIFT, SPGen, NMIMS. Oh, no, NMIMS we skipped up, we didn't give it. Symbiosis and the new IIM. So a lot of these things, we definitely want to make sure you do well. Stay
Absolutely.
connected, do well at SPGen, and always just a call away.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Most welcome and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.